Hello there, and welcome back to those that have visited my AutoCAD page. Today I will be discussing our newest landscape design assignment we completed using Dynascape programming. I will be reviewing 5 major concepts we used to complete this assignment, and I will also be comparing and contrasting Dynascape's 2D drawing program with AutoCAD's 2D program. While there are minute differences between the two, like in order to zoom in Dynascape, you have to hold down the Shift key, there are also larger differences such as the ones soon to be discussed. Before beginning our drawing, we had to insert our template, rescale it, and scale our drawing 1-to-1 in model space. Model space is where we create our drawing, and 1-to-1 drawing refers to drawing in real-world measurements. For example, 1 foot in real life would equal 1 foot in our drawing. This is very similar to how we started our AutoCAD project. The difference between Dynascape's and AutoCAD's model space, however, lies in the fact that Dynascape makes you choose a sheet size and print scale when you create your new drawing. AutoCAD has a separate model space from paper space, and AutoCAD automatically resizes your image to fit the printing paper. Both Dynascape and AutoCAD have the polyline tool, but in Dynascape, you can do so much more with it. In Dynascape, you can choose to check off the Close Polyline option, which will allow you to create closed shapes without having to close the shape off yourself. If you don't choose the Close Polyline option, you can freehand shapes or simple lines. The one advantage of AutoCAD's polyline was that it made highlighting single objects much easier. Instead of using the line tool and having to select every single line, you could use the polyline and highlight it all in one go. Dynascape's polyline also has another important use when it comes to grip editing. We can use the middle grips in our polyline to create arcs. Please note that in AutoCAD, we had a separate arc tool to create arcs, and in my opinion, the arcs made with the arc tool weren't necessarily as smooth as doing middle grip edits with Dynascape's polyline. In Dynascape, you can't just add hatch in an area. You have to create a temporary boundary inside your area and around objects within that area in order to hatch. For this, we use the polyline tool, again for its ability to create smooth arcs and easy grip edit adjustments around objects. For those that may not remember, or for those new to my website, we'll review the definition and use of layers. Layers are an organizational tool we take advantage of when drawing. They allow for a visible representation of objects and set them apart from other objects in our drawing. Layers are visibly represented by a color. In AutoCAD, we created our own layers, gave them names, and assigned them each with a color. In Dynascape, the layers were pre-made and pre-assigned their colors. In Dynascape, if you wrongly put an object onto a layer it was not meant for, you'd have to navigate to the sidebar Layers and select Revise, and then scroll and select the correct layer. In AutoCAD, all we had to do was select an object and reselect the appropriate layer. So Dynascape, in this regard, required a little more effort. If you navigate to the Edit Active List at the bottom of the Layers section, you can turn layers on or off, and you can add your own layer. If you navigate to the sidebar tabs, there are 4, you will find the Figure tab. Figures in Dynascape are pre-made and do not require you to access and download them from an outside compatible source, like AutoCAD did. Note that in AutoCAD, we refer to the pre-made objects as blocks. Instead, Dynascape figures are already on their labeled layers, and you have a variety to choose from in each category. There are tree figures, shrub figures, pond feature figures, and much more. Placing figures into Dynascape requires several left clicks, one to rotate it, one to resize it, and one to change the angle. In AutoCAD, we simply added the block to model space and adjusted the block using grips. The Plant Label tool is unique to Dynascape. It allows us to place a quantity on our plants as well as name them. This can be found under the Labeling section in the sidebar if you select the pretty flower. You can use Dynascapes.com vast database to do a plant search, and you can search by a plant's botanical or common name. You could also search by plant type. For example, you can search by tree or shrub, annual or perennial, and so on. If I were asked which program I prefer to use, I would say both because they each have their advantages over the other. AutoCAD is easier to navigate and use, but I have to rely on outside sources for blocks. In Dynascapes, arcs are much easier to make and much smoother than in AutoCAD because of the polyline. Dynascapes also has a plant label tool, which AutoCAD doesn't have. So for landscapers looking to label objects in their drawing, Dynascape would be the better option.